Hi, my name is James Cleary, and I live at 1 Backacres Lane in South Berwick. Most days when my boys come home from school and I ask them what they learned, I get the standard answer, I don't remember. Well, 2 weeks ago, on January 22nd, when some parents asked their 4-year-old pre-K kids what they learned at school, they were alarmed to hear them answer, I learned that girls can wear boy clothes and boys can wear dresses. The book in question is titled Molly's Tuxedo, and it was written by an LGBTQ activist. This picture book was read aloud to 1 or more pre-K classes at Elliott Elementary School. Themes of this book include gender nonconformity and defiance of parents. Not only does the character of this book dislike the style and fit of a dress, she declares that she, quote, just doesn't feel like herself when wearing a dress, but that she, quote, feels just right wearing the tuxedo. It may be easy to brush this book off as an example of how to be inclusive, but there is an obvious transgressive agenda to this book. The purpose of this book is to provide very young children with an early introduction into radical gender ideology. So, some parents are upset about a book in school. Now what? I searched the internet and found many resources for how schools are supposed to handle the sticky situation when parents complain about a book. The consensus is for school administration to remain emotionally neutral and simply direct the parents to follow the sanitized and cumbersome process of submitting a complaint form. For our district, this is in policy IMBB. My limited search has shown me that in most cases, especially in Maine, the school will take under advisement the professional reviews of academics over the concerns of parents whose children will be directly impacted. The book usually stays on the shelf no matter how bad the content. Policy IJJ dictates that the school board is ultimately responsible for the selection of books in school, but those choices are normally delegated to other staff. If the school board decides to remove a controversial book, they can at any time. A different book could be read to the 4-year-olds and no parents would be distressed. The school should use common sense and provide reasonable accommodation to all families by not promoting books like this. If parents wish, they can seek out and purchase these books for reading at home. I do not think it is reasonable for parents of pre-K students to worry about submitting Form IMBB to protect their 4-year-olds from instruction that goes against their family values. I look forward to transparency and accountability on this issue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Touch upon something. I want to share some information that might address some of Mr. Cleary's questions that he had for us.
Okay.
We met as an administrative team, and I did get some feedback from some families with some concerns about some of our programming at the elementary school. And so we had an opportunity to talk a little bit, and 2 issues really became very clear. One is that we want to make sure from a curricular standpoint that our pre-Ks are doing the same things. I mean, that's really important. That's part of the work that we're doing. And so clearly, this is something that we need to spend some time on. The other part is transparency. We never want families to feel like things are being done to them, but being done with them. And so when we don't communicate at times, that makes families feel that way. And so we're really trying to find ways to be able to communicate. For example, in Elliott, in all of our buildings, we have a partnership with the Maine Association of School Librarians where they send chickadee books out every year, and the students for years have voted on those books. And this year, one of those books caused some controversy. And so from a programmatic standpoint, it's really like we have our curriculum mapping for English, for 1st grade, for 2nd grade, for 3rd grade. But when we look at our library program, we don't have that. And so what we need to do is just clearly when we send out a kind of our update as far as like what's happening in our classroom, we're doing this in PE, we're doing this in art, just to say we are reading the chickadee books, here's the access to the 12 chickadee books, and put that out to families to give them an opportunity to know what we're doing. I think opening our doors, being more communicative is really important. It is IMBB as a policy. We talk about exemption. This happens fairly frequently. I think the example that always comes up is people sometimes have concerns with Catcher in the Rye. And so there's concerns, and so an alternative assessment is given to those students to be able to offset the instruction that they're concerned about. So we want to work with families and respect their values, but we also want to make sure we're communicating. And so although I don't want to get into the specifics, I just think it's important just to say that there are some things that we are taking away as we met with an A team this week. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As you heard, the school pledged to be open and transparent with parents. I spoke with Superintendent Caverly and some of the school board members after the meeting. They seemed to genuinely understand my concerns and the concerns of other parents in the community. Mr. Caverly made it very clear, however, that policy IMBB and policy IJJ must be followed. These policies would require the parent to basically write a book report and submit that for consideration to remove a book. The parents expected to read the whole book, list pages and paragraphs that they disagree with, explain why these parts of the book are bad, and also note which parts of the book are good. What I would much rather see is for the board to take responsibility for the materials that are presented to the children in school, as discussed in policy IJJ. I believe that if a parent calls the school or sends an email about a book that may have problems, the school should be able to look into it and make a quick executive decision to remove that book. We have plenty of books on the shelves at the school. It's not like these books are the center focus of classroom curricula. They're just books on a shelf that can be removed or substituted with no consequence. I asked Mr. Caverly how this book challenge process was supposed to functionally work. How are parents supposed to know what books or other materials their children are being exposed to that they might have an issue with? It seems like a student would have to find something objectionable and tell their parents, who would then initiate this process. He said he would check with the librarian to try to find an answer to my question. Overall, the school board was welcoming, and they tried to be helpful with their answers to my questions. I look forward to working with them more in the future.